What's up, my brother?
What up? Happy Taco Ball Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Taco Bell Tuesday, baby.
Taco Ball Jones.
What's on the menu for tonight?
Well, we got ourselves a fun little night. Going to be discussing the best team names in the NBA. And also on the menu is something new being tested out by Taco Bell called a Taco Lovers Pass. So think about what that might be, and we will wrap our show with a little information on the possibility of a Taco Lovers Pass coming to you.
Okay. Very intriguing. Very intriguing. Making me hungry already. All right. Let's talk through this team name setup here. And so I think it was a couple weeks ago we thought let's go through every team name and let's focus specifically just on the name itself. We could get into logos, we could get into court designs, we could get into jerseys, there's
colors,
players. There's so much that we could get into. But the challenge we put to ourselves was let's be objective, non-biased connoisseurs of the game.
Yeah.
And let's assess the creative nature, the creative process that went into these different team names.
Who has the best name in the NBA?
That's right. Does it roll off the tongue? Is it unique? Is it a simple and intuitive name that doesn't require a lot of abstract thinking to understand? And then finally, what I think is a pretty important piece, how strong is the identity behind that name? Is there a local connection to the area? Is there a historical connection? So those are going to be some of the criteria I'm looking for here, Justin. And again, we are trying to take off as much as possible, check our brains at the door that are trying to associate current players, prior players, like our love or hate for some of these teams, and purely go off of the names themselves.
All right. So with that, I will add zero input to where the Cleveland Cavaliers fall. And I think you should have no input as to where your San Antonio Spurs sit atop our rankings.
Okay. I think that's a fair trade. I think that's a fair bargain.
All right.
Let's pull this up. Let's pull up our wonderful tier maker here. All right. Okay, here we are. So S tier, obviously highest, impeccable. This is going to be the elite out of the group. A tier, solid, great, just not elite. B, we get, this is above average.
Yeah, decent, mediocre.
Decent. C, above average or below average. Not like, yeah. And D is trash. I mean,
why even bother?
D is dumpster. So
obviously you didn't bother. It is what it is.
And we've got all 30 teams laid out here. Again, we're not focused on the visuals here, purely on the name. And I organize these in alphabetical order as well. And if there's any questions or any debate that comes out, we've got Google to help us out here. So let's start. Atlanta Hawks.
It doesn't do much for me. I don't know if it rolls off the tongue. I don't know. I don't picture myself being in Atlanta and looking out my skyscraper hotel and seeing a bunch of Hawks flying around the city of Atlanta. But I don't know. Are Hawks native to Georgia? I don't know, but they don't appeal to me. I feel like, we're going to get get going with some of these, but I feel like if you just have like a generic animal, like
Mhm.
don't even bother. Like you're at the bottom. I
Yes.
don't even know if I could give the Hawks a C just because you're the Hawks. If we at some point we stumble across something on Google that says Hawks are like the state bird of Atlanta, well then by all means. I mean, they could have been, I don't know, the Atlanta peach trees. I don't know. They could have done I feel like they're what's the state bird of Atlanta?
It is a brown
Or
thrasher.
Georgia.
The brown thrasher is the official state bird of Georgia.
Okay. Is that in
That is
the
not a hawk.
hawk family?
Let's see. A
Because
bird in the family Mimidae, which includes New World catbirds and mockingbirds. So I think that's a strong no.
all right, so the Thrasher makes sense because when Atlanta had a brief stint of having their own hockey team, they had the Atlanta Thrashers, which was a brown bird that had like a hockey stick, like they were about to like slice somebody up like Casey Jones. So Atlanta Thrashers. Why wouldn't the Hawks should just change their name and become the Atlanta Thrashers basketball, and they would immediately jump like 3 tiers. So Atlanta Hawks, why even bother? I don't know. I have them down low.
Yeah, I'm pretty content with them being in the dumpster right now. Okay, so Atlanta Hawks, sorry, but don't be a hawk. I mean, the hawk is literally, I think, probably one of the most overused names for any sport in America.
Yeah,
Boston
second,
Celtics.
second maybe to only the Cardinals. Like, I mean, there's my high school alma mater. There's a team in every district named the Cardinals or the Hawks.
Yeah, that's right. There's I'm sure at the high school level, there's tons of hawks. Okay, so we got Hawks. Celtics. This is gonna be higher up for me.
Explain.
So uniqueness is up there. There is I'm thinking somewhere between B and A. It is thoroughly unique. It is very much
What
a
is it?
caricature. It's a Celtic. Right?
What is that?
It is someone who's immigrated from Europe, from the Celtic region of Europe.
Which is where?
In Europe.
There's no Celtic region of Europe.
Someone of Irish descent.
Okay, well, a Celtic maybe. I don't know about a Celtic, and I don't think there's a Celtic region of Europe.
So wait, you're saying a Celtic is different from a Celtic?
I'm not saying that one is different from the other, but if it was a Celtic, why wouldn't they just be the Celtics? What I don't understand. I don't know what a Celtic is.
So the Celts are a collection of Indo-European peoples in parts of Europe identified by their use of Celtic languages.
Are you sure that's not Celts using Celtic language?
That is Celts.
How are you
So
how are
Celtic,
you distinguishing between the hard C and the soft C?
I guess I'm not. I'm using them completely interchangeably because I don't know many people that call them the Boston Celtics.
That's what I'm saying.
That
That's
would
why
be
I'm asking.
That would be
if
the
there's a
proper
difference.
linguistic representation of
Because if nobody calls them a Celtic, it will lead me to believe that Celtic and Celtic are not the same. But I don't know. I see. For me,
what is your interpretation of this name?
A poor American take on Irish heritage, and it's barely a notch above a dumb animal name.
Okay.
Because it makes no sense. I don't know, is Boston like a heavy Irish immigration point? Or I don't know. Like here in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of Polish people.
Yeah. The Pittsburgh Polish.
But I feel like if we had a basketball team named the Pittsburgh Polacks, yeah, I would probably not feel too strongly about that. I wouldn't be like raging with pride. I don't know. You want to give them a notch up? I can't see that. I don't,
So,
unless you can tell me what it
so
even
we'll,
is.
we'll keep them in C for now. What would bump them up to a B for me is if we have a lot more like boring regular animals. See, what I give a little bit of credit for Boston is the fact that they chose something super unique. And there's, yeah, it's not like a typical animal or something. So that's
all right. Well,
that's let's keep them in C. Nothing set in stone. And
put them in a B. Put them in a B because I feel like I probably have some bias that's leaking out just because I hate them in general. But like when we say we're not using the logo is a squirrely Irish, like short Irishman with a pot belly. Like if that's what a Celtic is, I'm not saying that the logo is bad. The logo might be good, neither here nor there, but that's like using my context clues. What is a Celtic? So I don't know if their whole identity of as a basketball team is an old school Irishman.
Yeah, I think we'd have to ask a true Celtics fan to figure
also, that out. Maybe T-Wime can come on the podcast. Also, I hesitate to put teams in the low tiers and say that if we start to overcrowd the low tiers, we can bump teams up. I'd rather bump a team down than bump a team up for overcrowding. Like if we get a lot of good A and Bs coming through, then we can drop somebody down. But like, I would rather have overcrowding in the C and Ds because I feel like there are much less good names than there are terrible names.
Okay. I can agree with that reasoning. So I think we pretty much kick this one to the curb. We spent enough time on Boston. Now, Brooklyn Nets. This is
why bother? This is a disgrace. So it transferred with them from New Jersey, and New Jersey Nets has a little roll off the tongue. Brooklyn, I don't know. They could have changed it to anything, but if they wanted to stick with generic basketball terms, why didn't they just go with like the Brooklyn Ballers? Like, I mean, I don't know. The whole world was open to them when they moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn, and Jay-Z became a part of it, and it was going to be like hip and blah, blah, blah. I feel like they could have easily changed their name out to be something other than the Brooklyn Nets. I guess I don't understand why, if there's some sort of aspect with the league where a team can leave a city, but they're like still required to have their name for so long, because you see that, like, how often does a team leave their city and then change their name in the same year? So I don't know if there's some contractual obligation, but I feel like they could have just changed their name to something way better than the Nets. I mean,
to me,
how about the Brooklyn Bricklayers? I mean, I don't.
This for me is completely boring, completely just no story
Brooklyn
whatsoever.
Bouncers.
It's like a lifeless part of a basketball hoop. And think about how many sports have a net in it. Come on. It could have even been like the Brooklyn double rims, because there's probably a lot of double rims in Brooklyn, and that's
the Brooklyn chain link.
Yeah, there you go. just super boring.
The Brooklyn backboards.
That name belongs in the dumpster.
How about just the Brooklyn boards? Boring. Brooklyn board out of my mind. Brooklyn brand.
Let's keep this moving. We still got tons of teams on the board. We're 3 teams in here, Justin. Charlotte Hornets.
All right, D. You're in Charlotte. Get rid of your bias. I want to rank them higher because I love their team colors and they think they have a cool mascot, but that's not what we're looking at. What? I'm sorry. Is there an overabundance of Hornets in Charlotte? I mean, they could have been the Charlotte Roaches, and that would have been a little bit better of a fit because Charlotte is infested and overrun with roaches.
There are roaches everywhere in the South. So one point as to why I would possibly move this up to a C is
because you live in Charlotte.
I mean, yes, there is that bias there as well. But because part of the, Charlotte's the Queen City, and there was, during the Revolutionary War, one of the British generals basically wrote back to Queen Charlotte saying that this was a nest of resistance in Charlotte, and it's like they had kicked the hornet's nest or something. So that inspired a lot of the desire for there to be a team in this area called the Hornets. So that's where, to me, there's at least a nod to some of the history behind the city. Now,
okay.
Of course, you have like the Bobcats debacle, and you have all the, even when they were in New Orleans, they were the Hornets. Like, so I acknowledge that, but yeah, I mean, maybe this is some of my hometown bias coming in here, but
that's the type of history, that's the type of research we needed on all these teams, and we're probably only going to get it for the Hornets, so slide them on up there.
All right.
That's a useful, see, to me, that's even better than the Celtics, but it's still an animal, so
yes.
Carry on.
Chicago
D,
Bulls.
no discussion.
No discussion whatsoever.
D, I don't understand.
No connection. Animal, not that creative.
I mean, did they do like a running of the Bulls in Chicago back in the day? Chicago Bulls.
Nope. Let me read you this quick blurb on Wikipedia behind the name. Dick Klein wanted a name that evoked Chicago's traditional meatpacking industry and the Chicago Stadium's proximity to the Union stockyards. Klein considered names like Matadors or Toreadors, but dismissed them, saying, if you think about it, no team with as many as 3 syllables in its nickname has ever had much success, except the Montreal Canadiens. After discussing possible names with his family, Klein settled on Bulls when his son Mark said, "Dad, that's a bunch of bull."
No, I'm not buying it.
Not buying it? Okay. I had no idea there was a name that evoked the traditional meatpacking industry in Chicago. Are you kidding me?
So do you think that's what the Green Bay Packers are? Is because they have a lot of meat packing up in that area? Meanwhile, they're just like cheese heads, like cheese packing facilities.
I've got no idea. No,
because that's a terrible name as well.
That I do think that that meat packing piece is kind of interesting. I'm putting them in C. Which leads us, and this is not, this isn't fixed. This is going to shift. We can shift this around a little bit, but
let's put them in D, but put them first.
Okay.
Ahead of them.
Okay. They're like top tier of D.
Yes.
Okay.
The best of the worst.
The best of the worst. Okay. Well, Justin, it's your favorite team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm going to say what I like. It rolls off the tongue. Cleveland Cavaliers, little alliteration there. Cavaliers, it's a lot to say.
No success for a 3-syllable team name.
No success. I don't know. Number one, I don't even really know what a Cavalier is, so that doesn't help. And I don't think Cleveland has many Cavaliers. Are we talking about someone that is Cavalier, or a like, oh, that's a Cavalier in spirit, or a like knight, a Cavalier?
Or
Too ambiguous for me. It's not an animal. I don't think it's an animal. That's positive for me. But this is I think I got to stick with the C's and put this Cleveland Cavaliers got to stick in the C tier. Leaves much to be desired.
well, a cavalier is a swashbuckler. Big hat with a feather in it, carries a sword, rides on ships,
Oh,
that type of thing. So
and are there a lot of those in the Cleveland area?
I don't know if there's a lot of those anywhere, but I think it had to do with the shipping industry and the ports in Cleveland being on Lake Erie as had something to do with it. But I can't argue with the C ranking.
Goes along with all the the C's in the name too.
It just rolls off the tongue. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is, if we ever do an episode where we like talk about design and colors, like I think this would be much higher, but because yeah, like I like a lot of the designs, but name alone, pretty confident with my C.
It's just
C
difficult.
rankings.
It's going to be difficult to do that because there's been so many different designs.
Yeah.
And like I love their 1990s when they were absolutely terrible and they had blue and orange as their colors, and they just had big block letters that said Cavs, and the V was like a basketball net, and it was just like, but that's everyone's gone through those. And then they had like those wine and gold colors, but their colors are constantly changing now, and it's like something different every year. And now that like Nike does like the city edition jerseys, it's just that kind of stuff's getting too diluted. There's just too much. But enough about that.
Yeah,
on it.
Let's move on to the Mavs. You tell me where this one belongs.
So,
and I'll contribute. I'm scanning some Wikipedia here to try to contribute any sort of a. So some of these teams on Wikipedia have nothing, no like connection to the name, and others
right.
a little bit more.
So the only thing about here is that I could see it being at the bottom of that C category, as it is an animal, but they didn't just name themselves like the Dallas horse or like I don't know what's a more common horse type of horse, like
the like Broncos or Mustangs.
The Dallas Mustangs, the Dallas Broncos, the Dallas Clydesdales. A Maverick has I don't know, it's got a little more intensity to the name, I think, but it's still an animal, regardless of how popular it was in, I don't know, I guess Southwestern culture to ride horses around. It could have been a bit more creative, as we'll see when we visit perhaps some other teams down in the Texas region. So I would have them at the bottom of the C category, maybe the top of the D category. Just, well, the Hornets are up there, the Mavericks, yeah. It's a little edgier. They could have been more bland. So I see them up there.
Gotcha. So just a fun kind of tidbit here. Fans chose this title with 4,600 postcards received, coming from the 1957 to 1962 TV Western Maverick, And the two other names that it beat in the process was Wranglers and Express. Think if we lived in a world with the Dallas Wranglers.
That would be better than the Mavericks,
Yeah, I think
but
it might have.
maybe not better than the Express. That sounds like a WNBA name.
Yeah. Um, yeah. We're not going there, Justin. Let's talk about Denver Nuggets, because this one's intriguing to me. We're moving into, so we have our second like inanimate object.
I say it.
This is a natural resource.
I say at least an A.
I'm digging it.
And it could easily, it could be higher. Like we could bump up. I don't know. The Nuggets. It doesn't exactly, the Denver Nuggets. It doesn't exactly sound pleasing, but when you think about the connection to the gold rush and gold nuggets and all the mining that happened in and around there, I like it. That the Nuggets is very unique. It's creative. It's different. It's not the Broncos. So
I love your line of thinking here, and not just because I love the Nuggets just design, but I love that local connection. Nicola. I love the local connection. I think inanimate objects can flop super easily and just nets and be something that just completely falls apart. But this one it's so unique that it works. And yeah, there's that local connection too. So I could not agree more with your A tier rating here.
my man.
Let's talk about the Detroit Pistons. And I gotta say, this to me is, for all the reasons that we just talked about Denver being here.
Yes.
Same thing. Maybe even.
Yes, the two of them here. Yes, the two of them are borderline. I would not be displeased with seeing either of them in the S category. Heck, I think put them both in the S category, and if for some reason we start to get a little crowded, we can bump them down. But
so one hesitation why, and you acknowledged this when we were talking about the Nuggets, is the lack of alliteration. So neither of these rolls off the tongue. So they're top of the A tier right now, and if we make it through all these without an S, one of these is going up there. We'll make that determination. But right now,
good call on the alliteration, because so growing up a Cavs fan, I watched a lot of duels with Detroit and what they do in their arena to like get everybody to like chant like or whatever. The PA announcer will go Detroit and everybody else goes basketball. Like, so they can't even use their own team name in like a call and response. So I understand not wanting to elevate them, but for very similar historical reasons, the piston, the car part, the manufacturing, I'm in on it.
Yeah, and that like that identity factor to me, that like connection, that passion, totally there for just thinking about the automobile industry and people from Detroit, how like tight knit they are. That I think Detroit to me edges out Nuggets in that category. So solid A tier right now. We'll see if anyone can surpass them. Golden State Warriors. Oof. This one was a little perplexing to me.
I got nothing to say. I have a bit of a bias, but I don't think it makes sense. There's no alliteration. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. I don't know. Should they change their first name to Oakland and become something else like Golden State? It's just, I don't know what Warriors has to do with anything.
No, and I didn't even think about that. You're making me realize I focused so much on the Warriors piece of this that I didn't properly analyze the Golden State component, because they're losing some points right there. Like,
Well, it's typical. They don't want to alienate anybody. They couldn't choose Oakland or San Francisco, so they just had to like say Golden State because they didn't want to offend anybody. But then they like moved from one to the next and then back. I don't know. It's
still keeping the same name.
It's whatever. I
Yeah,
mean, heck,
so
they could have. I wouldn't have enjoyed it, but they could have at least gone inanimate object and just been the Golden Gate Bridges. I don't know. like I don't know. I mean, it's a stupid name. You might as well be stupid and actually make sense. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It
So
might as well at least have something, some kind of connection.
so I want to read you this blurb on Wikipedia. Franchise adopted its brand name Golden State Warriors prior to the 71 to 72 season to suggest that the team represented the entire state of California. Almost all home games were played in Oakland that season. 6 were played in San Diego, but none in San Francisco or Daly City. Oakland Arena became the team's exclusive home court in 1971. Yeah, losing a lot of points on identity here. It's not an animal.
They played some of their games in home games in San Diego, but not San Francisco. Yeah. How far is San Diego from Oakland? Back in the 70s, traveling, like, it's not like Oakland and San Francisco that are across the bay, and San Jose is pretty close to there, right? San Diego is way far south of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So that's like, that just makes no sense.
San Diego is 7.5 hour drive south of Oakland. So D or C?
They're a D. They're a D because they just suck anyways.
So I'm putting them right here.
The Bulls, at least they have the meat packing. The Warriors have just nothing because they just didn't want to actually choose anything. Oh my.
It's funny how easy it is to throw teams here. And might I say how refreshing it is, Justin, to just bash teams like this and be able to put aside like their relevance, or put aside their athletic prowess and their like championship caliber teams that they've produced, and just focus. I love how mad some people would get because they're like, no, you can't diss my team like that. No, we're not dissing your team, we're just the name. All right. And
but also your team sucks.
That too. So Houston Rockets, we're back into inanimate object, local connection.
What do you mean? No, did you say no connection?
Local. So Houston,
yes,
no space.
Yeah, blast off. I would put them ahead of the Celtics in that B category.
Okay.
Because again, I just I like the local connection. I like the Rockets. I know it's an inanimate object, but they didn't go with an animal, which I feel like is the lowest form of what it could be. But yeah, Rockets. I'm for the Rockets. Blasting off, baby.
Nice. Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward to me. That's exactly where I'd peg him.
It doesn't have a lot of, I don't know, the alliteration isn't great.
No.
So, but yeah,
let's continue to the Pacers. This one's a little enigmatic for me because a pacer is not entirely intuitive. Like, what's that? But if you know a little bit more about Indianapolis, you think, okay, this is the sprint cars. Like this is the race car. This is nodding to racing. So this to me,
I put them in the same category as Detroit, and I guess that would be Denver. Those are
really
the Pacers and the Pistons are, again, growing up a Cavs fan, same division, seen a lot of the Pacers, the pace car for Indy 500 for racing. I think all of that's there. Average alliteration, nothing spectacular, but I'm a big, that's one of my favorite names right there, Pacers. So
is it presumptuous though that they're the team for all of Indiana?
is there any other teams in Indiana?
I had to ask because there's on this whole board, and I was just looking at this. We have what, 3 teams that are claiming the whole state? We have Indiana, we have Golden State, and, well, I guess you could say New York. That's
New York.
New York is, yeah, New York. We've got Utah. So is it, but can the Pacers do that? Because there's no one else in Indiana, and there's not much else in Indiana at all.
Yeah,
Can they get away with that?
are there any other professionals? Oh, I guess the Colts.
Yeah.
So
There's no hockey
yeah.
team in Indiana.
No, and I don't think there's a baseball team.
Okay, I think I can do this compromise. I was originally going to put them in B for uniqueness and nothing else. Well, some of that like historical connection. I can live with them being behind Denver and Detroit. I think I'm realizing in this conversation that I prefer when teams really double down on a city and make that their like, yo, we're staking claim to the city.
Yes, I can agree with that. But I also like when a team really doubles down on the local importance of their name, and everybody inside of the state of Indiana, I would think, would have some understanding of what where that team name comes from. So like, I'm from Ohio. I don't know what a Cavalier, I don't know what that had to do with Cleveland. So, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I don't know. I think,
okay.
I don't know. That one's a big one for me. So
I can dig it.
all right.
We're almost halfway through here. Let's talk about LA, Clippers and Lakers. Let's hit them both.
All right. Clippers.
What's a Clipper?
It's a ship. They used to be the San Diego Clippers, which is a big port city. So a Clipper is one of those boats with the tall masts and all the sails on it, I think, with like all the wires tied down to it.
Yes.
I don't know if it's speed, if it was like a speedboat. I don't know. I think they were faster sailing boats, but they just brought the team name from San Diego, I believe. I guess Los Angeles is also on the coast, so technically, I don't know. Is it technically a port city?
At some
I don't
point,
know
yes.
how much shipping industry they had there, but I don't know. Anyone who's bringing a team name from a previous place that just sticking around with it, I don't know. I got them kind of low on the list because one, a lot of people don't know what a clipper is. I so the Cleveland Indians minor league farm team. Well, actually, it was the Yankees minor league farm team at the time when I was growing up. But when I was living in Columbus, they had the Columbus Clippers. But they're now, I think, in the Indians farm system. But anyways, yeah, I don't. There's not much there. The only thing they have going for them is they're not an animal, but and they're not the Nets. But
so you know what I want to do here. I want to do this.
Bring the Bulls up, drop the Clippers down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Drop the Clippers down.
They got to stay ahead of the Warriors, the Hawks, and the Nets, though, because at least it's an inanimate object. It's a harking back to a ship, which Los Angeles is technically on the coast, I guess, and could have some ports over there. So I don't know. Maybe a Clipper was like a naval ship. I don't know. Some type of ship.
Yeah. Hey, just the fact that it's a ship is probably more than the average person that follows the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. This is top of the bucket at the bottom of the barrel. Lakers. Are there a lot of lakes in LA?
Negative. So this one is a little bit difficult only because of the alliteration is so good.
Okay.
Like the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know. It's just got a flow to it. But the team left Minneapolis, which was the land of 1,000 lakes. It makes total sense. And went to the coast on the ocean and kept the name Lakers. So I can't really give them any credit for being original, for having anything to do with where they are or where they're from. Outside of having a good alliteration, they have nothing that would make a good team name in my book. So you almost have to put them in the D category, but you can't put them below the Clippers because Los Angeles Clippers is so much more challenging to say than Los Angeles Lakers, even though they have a somewhat better connection to where they're stationed. But enough of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing going here is just the fact that Los Angeles is a great city name. And then Lakers, LA Lakers, it rolls off the tongue. So I put them here. Not a lot of creativity or it's just so abstract. Like I know what a lake is, but what is a Laker? Like, what is a Laker? These are the important questions that people don't ask, Justin. Like next time I see a hardcore Lakers fan, can you explain to me what a Laker is? And then I'm just gonna see what they say. See them squirm a little bit until they just go, "We got LeBron James." Okay, shut up. So we still got a lot of teams here. Memphis Grizzlies. Let's keep this moving.
D. As much as I like, I don't know.
Pessimistic.
Okay, so how many Grizzly Bears are there in Memphis, Tennessee?
I don't know about Memphis, but there are Grizzlies in Tennessee.
A lot?
Yeah.
They kept their name from Vancouver. They were the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Is
What
it
does
black bears?
Vancouver and
Is it
Memphis
black
have in
bears or
common?
brown? Do black bears or brown bears live in Tennessee?
Black bears live in
What
Tennessee.
kind of bears live in Tennessee? Okay.
Black bears live in Tennessee.
Black bear. And are grizzlies black bears?
No,
Okay.
they're big, giant, mammoth brown bears. They're grizzlies. They live in like the Pacific Northwest.
Okay. So my my C tier reasoning is entirely invalidated. So I really was thinking
Outside of it being like fun to say, they're probably ahead of Atlanta and maybe the Warriors, but it's real tough for an animal that's literally you kept from another country.
That makes sense.
I mean, if we're talking about logo, team colors, I dig it. But outside of the grizzly being like a more slightly ferocious animal or powerful animal, I don't know how I could give them props for the Grizzlies on this one. All right.
Nice. Miami Heat.
Los Heat.
It is hot in Miami.
El Fuego. En Fuego.
And it's not an animal.
It's not even an inanimate object, is it?
It's a force or a source of energy.
It's a temperature. It's a yeah.
So I got to give them some creativity for that. They didn't, choose a cop-out animal. Other than that, though,
it's hot in Miami.
That's about it.
Party in the city where the heat is on. Will Smith. Bienvenido a Miami.
So D or C? What are you thinking?
I don't know. I feel like they got to be better than the Bulls. At least I get I understand. At least I understand. You hear Miami Heat. Maybe it's a dumb name, but at least you go, oh, Heat, Miami, it's hot there. I get it. Bulls, you go, what? And then you go, oh, my son said, bull crap, Dad. It's the meat packing.
Let's acknowledge the meat packing industry.
Yeah,
all right. Apparently, it was also it gained its name from a name the team contest. So many ideas were submitted, which included Floridians, beaches, and suntans.
Oh my gosh.
Somehow the Heat edged out suntans and the rest is
I guess at least it makes sense that we have them next to the Mavericks, another name your team contest.
Mail in a postcard.
Winner. Jeez. All right.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Milwaukee Bucks. They have alliteration, but it's an animal. It's a deer, and there are deer everywhere. I don't know if you can say that they're akin to just being in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't know. You got them up in the C category, eh?
So here's my reasoning for I always thought Fear the Deer was kind of a joke, right? It's like, oh, whoa, deer really strike fear in you. But yeah, maybe when I'm driving at night, one jumps in front of the car. That's terrifying. But as a mascot, that too. As a mascot, I thought it was pretty just super weak sauce. But I almost like how unique of an animal this is a higher tier animal. They're like, yo, let's go with the buck. And Yeah, so I'm not, I don't want to drop him into D.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a buck better than a bull.
no, probably not.
Okay.
I think my what's getting in my way is just I think the design. I'm like unconsciously evaluating because I like the design, and I need to, if I just think about a buck objectively, a deer. Yeah, this is lowest of the C, but still
I could I could put them slightly. I could put them ahead of Chicago if we're going to keep both of those teams in C, only because like they didn't go with the Milwaukee Deer. They went with the Buck, and the Chicago Bulls, I guess, could have gone with what, the Chicago Steed or Chicago Brahma Bulls or like something other than, I don't know. But either way, they're low on the list. They don't get much credit.
yeah.
Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't even know. Timberwolves.
So here's some historical significance is the amount of forestry and timber in the Minnesota area. So it could just be a wolf, or it could just be you know, well, it wouldn't make sense to be a coyote. So I give them a little bit of credit that they're like, okay, timber wolves.
Hey, wait, is this another team that's claiming a whole state? Did we miss them?
Oh shoot, we did. So we're up to five teams that are claiming the whole state. But Minnesota, to me, again, they're Indiana in the sense that if you're from Minnesota, you you got to root for the Wolves. I mean, you're what are the two? I mean, I guess you probably have some people that are rooting for the Bucks, but maybe they're relocated. So I'm okay with, yeah, claiming the whole state. To me, this is C. This is like middle of the pack C.
And probably because they they got not necessarily limited, but they play in Minnesota. I'm assuming they play in Minneapolis, which is where the Lakers came from, and they can't take back the Minneapolis Lakers name. So they tried to go in just a different direction, and it doesn't help. That's not, I don't know. They're aptly ranked. All right. New Orleans Pelicans.
Things are again a little interesting here. Yes, we have a animal, but it's a pelican. Like,
It's
that's unique to me.
and it's unlike, I don't know, Bulls in Chicago or Grizzly Bears in Memphis and Hawks in Atlanta. The Pelican makes sense in New Orleans on one of those southern Gulf Coast cities where they have a lot of pelicans. So I think it's got to go at least in the C category. It's got to probably go ahead of the animals that are down there near the Charlotte Hornets. They could be flip flopped either way. I'm not displeased with one being the head of the pack there over the other, but yeah, they haven't been around as long. New Orleans Pelicans, Charlotte Hornets. I don't know. I might have Charlotte ahead of them after the information you told me about the Queen's Hornets nest. Queen Charlotte. All right. Your New York Knicks.
This so B tier at the lowest. And here's why.
They're definitely the head of the B tier right now.
Like no lower than this. I love the fact that New York, it's the city, it's the state. I mean, if you're from New York, you got to be a Knicks fan, and if you're not a Knicks fan, you're just on another bandwagon. And
Yeah.
so, and the alliteration is there for sure.
Oh yes,
Rolls,
New York
rolls
Knicks,
off the
baby.
tongue. And that, I mean,
That
just
might be the
fact
best
that,
alliteration in the NBA.
yeah, for sure. And the fact that the Nick is short for Knickerbocker. That's, I mean, just that alone, just Knickerbocker. I think that's awesome. So I almost, yeah, this B, maybe A. What are you thinking?
I could see it in the A group. I wouldn't be upset if it was the head of the B's or bottom of the A's. I think it toes that line. It's the if we're giving points for alliteration, it has the best alliteration.
Yeah.
So it's got to get rewarded for something there. So all right. Your Oklahoma City Thunder.
I could just hear the excitement coming out of your voice, Justin. That was that was a lot of gusto there.
I tried my best. I mean, I don't know. The Thunder, I would assume that Oklahoma was more known for dust storms than rainstorms or thunderstorms. We get a lot of thunderstorms around here. I had a lot in Ohio growing up, but I mean, I don't know. I guess all I can say is I guess it's good they didn't go with the Bombers, but here we are.
Jeez. Whew.
They're low on the
keep
list.
it moving.
They stink. The Orlando Magic.
I feel like we can keep this train rolling.
I don't know. The Magic's got to be ahead of the Thunder.
Why? What is magical about Orlando?
Disney? Isn't it the most magical place on earth?
But is that
it doesn't matter. I don't know if it even matters. It makes me think of that. There's stars. I think of Mickey Mouse. Plus, Orlando Magic comes off the tongue a little easier than Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay. You were not far off, Justin. So again, we have a contest open to the public. Almost 4,500 entries. The names were subsequently narrowed to 4: Heat, Tropics, Juice, and Magic.
The Orlando Juice, the
Can
OJs.
you imagine the Orlando Juice? Oh, how good would that be? And it was announced by committee that they chose the Magic as it alludes to the area's biggest tourist attraction and economic engine, Walt Disney World, along with Magic Kingdom. He added, you look at all the aspects of Central Florida, you find it really is an exciting, a magical place. So,
gosh, does it belong with the other team voting names with Dallas and Miami?
This, I mean, I'm gonna drop it behind Chicago because to me that there's a little bit more resilience, I feel like, behind Chicago as a city's identity. Whereas, okay,
what are
Orlando,
you talking about? What does a bull have to do with the identity of the city of Chicago?
The meat packing
Ray,
industry.
there's no meat packers in Chicago.
We're talking historical. We're talking the engine, the economic
Orlando
engine of the
is home to the
Midwest.
most magical place on earth.
Yeah, commercial, nonsense.
You just took
Consumerism.
your kids there. Don't give me that. When was the last time you took your kids to the Windy City to check out the running of the bulls? Hey kids, I want to take you on a tour of a meat packing facility. Maybe one day you can grow up and you can butcher cattle here in Chicago.
We're going to be reading The Jungle.
I would have been happier. Dude, think of the alliteration if it was the Chicago cattle. Now we're on to something.
Okay.
We need to get Scott Umble on the podcast.
You have won me over. Do we have enough to put them ahead of your Cleveland Cavaliers?
Let's not be silly.
We'll stick them. We'll stick them next to the Mavs.
All right.
With all these write-in, postcard entries for a team.
I think I'm going to send a postcard to Chicago and ask them if they can change their team name to the Chicago Cattle.
The Cattle.
In honor of our good friend Scott Umble,
who we will have on the podcast soon.
Yes, enjoy North Africa.
We could actually have him audit this ranking system.
He's probably going to vote for the Chicago dry aged Wagyu.
There you go.
Chicago Wagyu. So how they have what do they have? They have Latino Noche in the NBA, and they do El Heat and Los Lakers. Can we get I don't know, Japanese night and have the Chicago Wagyu? No? All right.
Soon. Next
Philadelphia 76ers.
May I introduce you to the first S tier team?
No way.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
No.
Hear me out on this.
Oh my gosh. I didn't think this was going to get...
Number
I said
one.
You weren't allowed to talk about your San Antonio Spurs. I should have included you weren't allowed to rank yours Philadelphia 76ers. This is bias at its finest, for sure.
Okay, come on. Number one, Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. Okay? Number two.
What does that have to do with the 76ers?
This is part of the name. Okay?
The brotherly love has nothing to do with the name Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes, it does.
It's not the Philadelphia brothers.
No, it's the 76ers. It's
not the Philadelphia love.
It's the people that helped found our country and draft our Constitution.
It's not the Philadelphia founders.
No, but it's the 76ers, the people who stood for freedom and democracy.
It's not the Philadelphia Freedom.
That's because 76er stands for all of those things without
definitely 76er doesn't really stand for brotherly love. You cannot relate those.
What does it stand for then?
It definitely doesn't stand for brotherly love, because I doubt in 1776 they were like, we're going to have our capital in Philadelphia because that's the city of brotherly love. I don't even know where they got the name the city of brotherly love, because it's the farthest thing from that.
What is a 76er then? You still haven't answered my question, Justin. What is a 76er? What is it?
I'm totally in on the 76ers being a good name. I'm not in on it being the best name in basketball and representative of the city of brotherly love somehow. I don't equate those two at all. So just nix the city of brotherly love and your other arguments. Freedom, founding, we're on to something. Independence. It is a top name. I don't know if it should be in the S category. How's it on alliteration?
76er, sixer, Philadelphia part, not so much.
And why do you spell Philly Phila? That don't make sense.
Here you go with the linguistics again.
I can't put it in the S group, but it's also not. I'm not controlling the screen, so I can't.
Then, so where do we put it in the A tier then? I had to give it a shot here for at least one team to be in the S tier.
So that's the thing. I think we're going to have an overcrowded A tier with 5 teams in there. So a case can be made that 1 or 2 of them will need to get moved up here. But
okay. They'll hang out in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
See, I feel like this is just, it's so patriotic. Like a 76er comes from the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So that's just right off there. That's patriotic points in me. But alas,
America's team.
I can pull. That's right. They're America's team of the NBA, right? I can pull them out of the A tier, but we do. Before we're done, we do need to put at least one team in the S tier. We still got some teams to go. Phoenix Suns. The Suns.
I can't rank them ahead of the Miami Heat. Like by more than one spot at best. Because I mean,
Miami's hot. Phoenix is hot.
Close one went with the Heat, one went with the Suns. It doesn't do much for me. So anywhere next to Miami is fine by me.
You know what? Screw that. This has got to be lower. It's got to be lower. I mean, I'm throwing it in D because the sun's everywhere. It's hot in a lot of places.
It doesn't even have good alliteration, so put it behind the Los Angeles Lakers.
It's so it's too random. It's too abstract. Can't do it.
All right.
C and D. Portland Trailblazers. This has some intrigue to me. Super unique.
But like
pioneering spirit.
That's all right. So you touched on the key word there. If they wanted to go that direction, so I like the name Trailblazers. I think it's cool. I think it's very unique. But what type of trailblazing came out of Portland? Like, I feel like Trailblazers might have made it to Portland as they explored from east to west, but I don't know if there's any famous explorers from the Portland area. And if you wanted to hearken to that, a better alliteration is the Portland Pioneers. Like that name rolls off the tongue. As much as I like the name Trailblazers, and when they just do the Blazers is cool, but it's not, I don't really understand it.
So here's one tidbit that I did find. So their name is a reference to the Lewis and Clark expedition, which ended not far from present-day Portland. So that, yeah, I mean, it could be Portland Pioneers because Lewis and Clark were definitely pioneers as well.
Yes, but they're not blazing any trails in Portland. They blazed their trail to get to Portland. The trail was already blazed by the time they got there.
But that was the summation, that was the culmination of a trail that had been blazed. So this is
the Portland end point.
Oh my gosh. Give me a little bit of hope here, Justin. I'm trying to, I think we do need to recognize, though, just how, let's not get lost in the details of where the trail ended, or if it was an expedition, or if they were pioneers. But we should really recognize the fact that this is super unique. I can't really think of many other teams in professional or amateur sports that have something close to this. I mean, I guess West Virginia Mountaineers might come close, or like Cowboys of some sort, but this one's super unique to me. It's at least a B, and
I'll give you the B.
it's got to be at the top of the B, maybe lowest of the A.
No way. Let's not get greedy. The Sacramento Kings.
Okay. We got to separate them from just how bad they are as a franchise. Get that out of the way. What is the connection between Kings and Sacramento?
I don't know. Unless it's similar to Charlotte, where it's like the King City and the Queen City. I don't really know. I I don't know. We're what, a constitutional republic? The whole point of us becoming a nation was to not have a king and to get away from that. So I couldn't tell you. They're at the bottom. Sacramento Kings. That name stinks.
I can't find. I really can't find much at all, other than at one point they were in Rochester, Rochester Seagrams when they were semi-pro. When they joined the NBA, they were the Rochester Royals.
Stick them down next to the Warriors or the Grizzlies somewhere. They're at the bottom.
We'll sandwich them right there. All right, all you San Antonio Spurs. I got no saying.
The San Antonio Spurs, baby. Talk about alliteration. Boom, they got it. Love it. Spurs. All right, they're not the San Antonio Cowboys. They're not the San Antonio Broncos or Horse Riders or whatever. They picked an iconic image, a piece of the attire of a cowboy. All right, something big in the culture down in Texas. All right, I love it. It's one of my favorites. If it's not in the A group, it's definitely got to be the top of the B group. I love it. I love the alliteration. I love how it sounds. I like what the name references. I think it was a unique way to pick something that wasn't a mundane animal, even though it's an inanimate object. It's unique. San Antonio Spurs. They might just be in the A category.
Wow.
You got any qualms with that?
I am speechless, Justin. I'm shocked. I was not expecting that. I was thinking I would have to fight to even put him in this B.
I love the Spurs. I love the name.
Okay.
I mean, even just the name, the Spurs. It's not the Suns. It's the Spurs.
It rolls off the tongue. I like it. Yeah. I am ecstatic, pleasantly surprised.
One of the best names in the NBA right there.
Nice. All right. Toronto Raptors. No Raptors in Toronto. Raptors are completely extinct. I did.
Were there a lot of Raptors archaeological digs in Toronto? They
Uh,
found a lot of bones up there, or
it depends who you ask.
I'm not sure they found Raptor bones anywhere, but
This,
that's another debate.
okay. We have another like fan favorite kind of postcard entry winner in the Raptors here, and there's a chance that this decision was significantly influenced by the popularity of Jurassic Park. So this is lackluster at best. No
Really?
alliteration. I'm putting them next to the Grizzlies.
Whoa. I was thinking maybe we could get something out of the Raptors. I thought there was
What?
something cool about it. Unique. We took a extinct creature.
It's, I guess there aren't many prehistoric animals that, I mean, are there any dinosaur?
I don't
No.
know. Are there any Brownsville behemoths or
Maybe some like some
the Louisville Leviathans?
I guess there's like saber tooth. You got some maybe saber
Yeah.
tooth, some, yeah,
The
some
Nashville Predators have a saber tooth, but
this is as high as I could go right here. This is as high as I could go.
all right, fair enough. If we were talking about logo and imagery,
Yeah.
I don't know. A purple dinosaur, though. All right, never mind. I was trying to talk myself into something good with the Raptors, and they just stink. The Utah Jazz, just put them at the bottom. I don't care about alliteration. I don't care about history. I don't care about anything. They came from like New Orleans, however many years ago. There's nothing about Utah that says Jazz to me. They stink. They I really hesitate to put them all the way below the Nets because it's the Nets. I mean, you picked the net of a basketball hoop to name your team, but
and
I
let's at least put them above animals.
yes, because Memphis they brought their Grizzly from Vancouver. The Jazz brought their name from
New Orleans.
At least. Who else brought a name? The Lakers brought their name. The Clippers from San Diego. I'm sure there were some other movements in there. All right, this is despicable. This is disgusting. This is a disgrace.
Wait, hold on. But sorry, Justin, and right before we continue, one last thing that I want to say about the Utah Jazz. If we're talking New Orleans Jazz, oh baby, like we're skyrocketing here. But nah, Utah, yeah, they're going down there. Okay, sorry. Keep going back to our favorite team here on the board.
I don't even want to put them up on the board. This is
not even above animals.
I mean, we talked about the Raptors as being like an extinct. What? The Wizards?
In Washington?
I mean, what is it even a reference to? They had that. They changed their name from the Washington Bullets to the Wizards because what? Assassinations, and they didn't like the name Bullets. So I don't know what the Bullets, where they got that name from, because I don't know. But it was cooler than the Washington Wizards. You play for the Wizards. You're a wizard. what are we even talking about? I like, I feel like this, as much as I want the Nets to be in last place, I feel like the Wizards shouldn't even be ranked, that they should just stay off the board. But if you have some reason to include them somewhere, go ahead. But I'm disgusted.
They go right above the Nets. So NBA.com,
Is that because of creativity?
behind the name, has this entry. In 1996, team owner Abe Paulin decided to adopt a nickname that portrayed a non-violent image and selected Wizards. The name depicts energy and an omnipresent power and brings to light what is hoped to be the wise and magical nature of the team.
Oh my gosh. A
So
less violent image. And then they took like the grand wizard of the, we left violence in the past and we stuck with just racist. Well,
so there is one glaring hole in this, and that's the lack of a team in the S tier. We need one team in the S tier to be the definitive 2021 best team name. We have 6 candidates in the running: our Detroit Pistons, our Denver Nuggets, our Philadelphia 76ers, Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks, San Antonio Spurs are 6. Again, we are removing any semblance of association to these franchises, their logos, their designs, our personal feelings, our affinities. So, what champion do we crown tonight? What team gets to stake their claim to the S tier out of all the others?
do you know who you're voting for?
No.
I think I know who I'm voting for. And I didn't think I would say this. I didn't think I was going to say this when I first started. When I was thinking about this last week, I think I knew who my top 2 teams were that I was going to maybe put in the S category. But if I got to pick one, I don't know if it's going to be either of them. So when you're ready, let me know, and we're going to shoot together on 3.
I got mine.
All right. I'm ready. 1, 2, 3. San Antonio Spurs.
Oh man.
You want to put the Knicks?
I want to put the Knicks. It rolls off the tongue. It's got a historical connection. It's got it sounds good. It's unique. It's not an animal. There's a local connection to the Knickerbocker. That's my vote.
Well, I think we got to put 2 teams up there then. I think that's got to be our definitive ranking. I think before we talked about all this and I talked to myself, see, if I would have just let you place the Spurs.
But you mean the Sixers in the S tier?
No. If I, like, instead of telling you you couldn't talk about the Spurs when we started this and I couldn't talk about the Cavs, I think the Cavs, I don't know if they'd have finished any lower than they were, but I don't think you would have put the Spurs as high as I put the Spurs. No. And I ended up talking myself into thinking that they have a top name, and that's my own undoing. I think before all of this, my top 2 teams were the Pistons and the Pacers because of just that connection to where they're from. But alas, I think we have a definitive list. I'm proud to say the best names in the NBA, team names, Knicks, Spurs. Short, simple, but unmistakable. So there you have it.
Strong names. And I'm gonna save this image. We're gonna put it out there. We're gonna generate all sorts of criticism and as people show their biases. But yeah, you're right, Justin. I went into this obviously with a heavy bias towards these guys right here. I actually think that we got to put them behind the Pacers. There's just too much to say there. There's so much going on there, and the more that we've landed on these two, I think it's important that the name is short, it's sweet. Both the city as well as the name, like it's got to be how those two are working in unison. And I think, going into this, my stock here was much higher, was pretty high on these two. But yeah, you surprised me with the Pacers, and then you made some really good points about the Spurs that I now warmly receive.
All right, we have our list. We'll get the screenshot out. I want to throw in one quick tidbit about Taco Bell, and we will bid you adieu for this week's episode. Coming to a Taco Bell near you, if you happen to live in the land of the sun. Arizona is testing out a taco lovers pass for the low price, depending on your location, between $5 and $10. They're testing this in random markets around Arizona. I hope it comes to the rest of the United States. You will get, with this pass, between $5 and $10, you get a month, one free taco per day, and you get a list of tacos to choose from. Hard, regular or supreme. Soft, regular or supreme. Doritos Locos Taco, regular or supreme. Loaded potato taco. So you've got about 7 decent choices for one taco a day for a 30-day pass. And I was expecting it to be around like $20 because their tacos now are like mid-dollars. And if you get a supreme, you're like over $2. So this seems like a no-brainer. I'm not sure how many people out there have the gastrointestinal fortitude to handle a taco a day for a month. But if it ever expands outside of the Arizona region, you can bet I will be destroying some tacos and my bowels at the same time for a month straight, because I can't pass that up. So taco lovers pass coming at you from Taco Bell. That is the word. That's what we've got.
Appreciate you bringing us the news hot and fresh off the Taco Bell press.
Yeah, baby.
That's awesome. Makes me wish I was in Arizona instead of just like close trialing the chicken taco sandwich here in my backyard and not even knowing about it. But there's no hurt feelings there.
Yeah.
Justin, this was a ton of fun. We have been on for more than an hour and a half because we want to bring intellectual integrity to this conversation about the NBA and Taco Bell. And I appreciate you walking with me in this adventure.
It's a ton of fun, as always.
In this pioneering journey, in this trailblazing adventure, if you want to call it.
From those Celtic explorers, Lewis and Clark.
Yes. You're my cavalier. What can I say?
You're the spur to my boot.
The hornet to my nest. Oh, we could go
magic to my kingdom.
signing off from Taco Bell Tuesday.
Justin to Justin. Yo quiero Taco Ball.
Adios.